Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Southern Dirt. My name is Summer and today I'll be giving you a walkthrough of my Central Florida garden. I'll be giving you an update on what we've been harvesting. I'll actually be harvesting some food today in this video. We've had a ton of deer damage, pest damage, and animal damage. So it's been a really tough month for me, but I will go over that in the video. And if you guys are wondering what you can plant right now, I will put a video of what you can plant in April and in May below in the description, so you can find that video and hopefully that will help you know what to plant next month. Here's our entryway to the garden. This is our Queen's Wreath vine. And as you can see, I've got all kinds of beautiful wispy vines coming off the edges of this. I do have some purple flowers flushing. See if I can give you a closer look. Here's one of them. We also have some ladybug pupas all over our trees here, and that is so nice because I could really use some ladybugs in the garden because we're going into the hotter months of the year where bugs are more present and can definitely do some damage to your plants. I'm already struggling with lots of bug problems at the moment, and I'll show you where we're having those troubles, along with some animal problem. It's probably one of the worst damages I've ever had. We'll get to that. But over here are our two Vego garden beds that I've been extremely pleased with. I'm actually going to buy a third one and put it here whenever I get enough money to do that and find the time to do that. I also told myself going into the summer that I would not be planting anymore, and as you can see I have a ton of plants and more over there. This summer we will be traveling a lot. It's gonna be really hard to keep a hand on my garden. So it's already been difficult this year with everything we have going on, keeping a hand on the garden. But I'll show you what I've taken out and what I do plan on replanting. So recently I had a lot of romaine lettuce and spinach, which our romaine went to seed. We harvested a ton of it. And then I just basically I started cutting them at the bottom and feeding them to our chickens. And our spinach also had a serious bug problem, so we just kind of cut it back. We're going to see if it comes up. If not, it's not a huge deal, but we did get plenty of spinach from that. I found at Lowe's on their clearance rack, if you guys have been following me for a while, that is a super fun place to go if you're looking to get plants cheap. They always have a clearance section, and their clearance section is good. It's not like, I mean, you'll find some pretty rough plants, but nothing that you can't save and bring back to life. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this beautiful Mexican heather. So we've grown these before. I love purple, and I couldn't help myself but to get, you know, a couple dollar plant to put in this bed. This is lavender. I have grown lavender before, never had any success, but I couldn't help myself. I thought it'd look good for a couple months while we're home, and maybe I can dry some of those out. Over here I have some longevity spinach. It's like it's got a little bit of purple in it, and I can't remember what this is, but it's some kind of basil a sweet friend gave me, and if I can find the name I'll put it in the video here. I also have some hibiscus. Now I also have cranberry hibiscus by our chicken coop, but this is a different type of hibiscus, and I think it's called cannabinus, not sure. Anyways, thought I'd give that a try and see how that does. Over here, our kale, we've been harvesting a lot of it. I might just pull it because it's, I don't know, we'll see how that goes. Then I have regular dinosaur kale. Over here I planted a zinnia, so that might get real pretty and flush out over there. And then over here I have an eggplant that I've had in a container, just really wasn't sure what I'd do with it, and I think I'm going to plant it here on the edge. So that is a white eggplant, looks like. Over there we have some basil, mint, more basil. Over here I have a really cool bean plant that is doing exactly what I wanted it to do, which was to cover that little electric box. And this bean is called Madagascar, and they're these pretty large beans, and I can't wait to get a pod and show you because the seeds are so pretty. This is a perennial bean, so this will stay here, it'll freeze back, but it will continue to grow. So I've never had a perennial bean before, and I'm really excited about that. I also have a couple foxgloves here, and here is my GreenStalk. And if you guys are interested in purchasing a GreenStalk, you can save $10 off your order using my promo code SD10. I have 3 and I want more, so I'll show you what I have in all of them. Over here I recently had trimmed my pentas back. They're just kind of getting crazy bushy, and it was just time to trim it back. And that was probably a couple weeks ago, and look how there's so many new growths and flowers, and that's flushing and just looking really nice. I have some succulents up here along with collard green. I have some mint, basil, thyme, Cuban oregano. I probably would stay away from planting mint in the GreenStalks because mint can spread so crazily, and it already has. I've got mint coming back through here and mint coming back, oh wow, all the way through here. So it will take over at some point. We've got this really cool tomato. If you watch any of my stories, you can find a little video I put together on harvesting tomatoes. I've been really happy with this tomato, and next year I'll probably plant a few more extra tomatoes because they're actually working in the GreenStalk and doing pretty well. I also have some more kale, different types of kales through here, and some flowers, some peppers. So everything seems to be doing really great over here. Over in this garden bed, I'm really excited to show you my tomatoes. This is probably going to be my absolute favorite tomato, called Moneymaker tomatoes. And to me, I think they are just the perfect size tomato. Look at those. They're not too big, they're not too small, and they just look really healthy. Now I wanted to point out to you guys that this is an overhead sprayer. This is the only area in the garden where I have overhead spray. I have drip system throughout, and the reason I went to drip system is because your plants can become unhealthy if you have overhead water constantly hitting them every day. And I can show you these tomato plants compared to the other ones in the garden, but you can see that I already have a little bit of yellow and spots on these tomato plants, and that's because I have a lot of water hitting that area. This plant is actually a little sicker than this one, and it's because the water is hitting that plant more. So I wanted to point that out, but I've been really happy with this variety of tomato, and I do plan to save seeds and sell them possibly next year. I recently pretty much finished my Siberian kale, and this is a really cool eggplant. It's called an Ichiban eggplant. I actually posted a picture of a bunch of vegetables on my Instagram page recently, celebrating 7,000 subscribers. So thank you guys. If you've been here for a long time, I'd love to know how long you've been watching my channel. So if you could comment below and tell me one of the best things you've learned from my channel that's really helped you, and let me know how long you've been following me. We also have some cabbage, purple cabbage. I've already harvested one. I don't think these are going to get too much bigger. I think I planted them a little late. And I have some celery that's doing really good. And I've got some carrots here. I'm gonna harvest one for you guys. Wow, look at that. That is awesome. Now I could let these guys grow a little bit bigger. The girls have been coming in here and just harvesting them as they please. And I'm gonna harvest a carrot in my regular garden, which is pretty much right in the ground compared to our Vego garden beds. And I also have a discount affiliate link that you guys can use if you decide you want to order these Vego garden beds. They have a 20-year warranty. I'll put that in the description below, but you can save $15 off your order. But look how big that root is. It's going to be a much longer, healthier carrot in my raised beds than in the ground. So I wanted to show you guys that. Over here I have, this is actually the first garden I started with, just in a tiny little pot. This is my original rosemary. Recently it's starting to flower. Look at that. It's so pretty. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I've got some flowers on that. The kids constantly come over here and make little potions and stuff and rip the pieces off. I also have some, I think this is called Puerto Rican oregano, and this is Cuban oregano, along with some chives. I used to have some basil in here, but I found out that my basil does much better in a separate pot with more water than mixed into this here. If you've never cooked with fresh herbs, it will change your life. It will change the way you cook and the way your foods taste. It'll almost make you feel like a chef. At least it did for me. Oh, I also have some other type of oregano back in here. Let me show you. I'm not sure the variety, but it's might be just more of a regular oregano here. So over here I have another GreenStalk garden, and I've been doing some videos of some of my harvests here on my social media. So if you want to see my pepper harvest, I was surprised how many peppers I am getting from just these first couple tiers of peppers. But these are my favorite peppers. They're sweet banana peppers. I lost my original sweet banana peppers in the freeze, but when I grew peppers in my GreenStalk over there, they did so much better than they did in the ground. So I decided to dedicate one of these to peppers, and I have more peppers that are going to be going in. These are actually called the lunchbox orange peppers that are planted over in that GreenStalk. I did have lettuce up here, which went to seed. These are now going to seed, so every day I've just been cutting them off here. And I wanted to show you, I had cut, I don't know why it's not focusing, there we go. I had cut these romaine lettuce off, and as you can see, it's starting to grow little leaves. So kind of another reason why it's not a bad idea to cut at the top of your plant instead of pulling it out of the ground and disturbing the soil. Over time, you might grow back some extra plants there. I also still have some dwarf kale here that we've been harvesting a lot of. And look at, I'm already ready for another harvest here. I'm not sure if I had these GreenStalk supports on these last time, but I decided I would purchase some just to see how well they worked, because I am having to stake off my peppers over there. And as they get bigger and heavier, I figured, you know, it'd be nice to just have them lean on something instead of breaking off at this, at the edge. So far they've been working really nice, and through the summer they will get bigger. And I actually bought some more to put up here for the rest of my peppers. Some rose bushes. Recently we had a deer that has come into our garden and took away all of our flowers. I thought it was crazy. We've had that happen once before, but not only did he or she eat our flowers off our rose bushes, but as you can see, my sunflowers here chopped off the sunflowers, and I'll show you more damage over there, but it's definitely heartbreaking of what kind of damage they did. But thankfully we still have quite a bit in the garden. I want to show you my strawberry tower here. These are like the absolute best strawberries. If you've never grown strawberries yourself, they're so different. They just taste, there's so much sugar, just so much more tastier than buying them at the store. So what I'm gonna do here with our sunflowers, I'm not gonna pull them because they still will grow sunflowers. They're just gonna take shoots off the side and grow a sunflower. So even though the deer took off what could have been a sunflower already, as you see over there, we are just gonna leave it there. So over here, we have a Seminole pumpkin that I started a couple months ago. I am actually going to be starting Seminole pumpkin seeds here in the next week or two, and I'm actually going to plant a few in the garden just because I have the space, and we're going to be traveling a lot this summer, so I don't think I'm going to plant as much pumpkins. We usually do that in our food forest, but I just wanted to see how it did over here. I still have some kale, even though my chickens have been tearing it up over here, and I'm really excited to show you my beet. My one and only left beet. I actually left this here so I can harvest it with you guys because originally, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I planted beets. I've never really been successful with beets, but a mouse or a squirrel or something came through and dug them all up. I was so disappointed. But here is my beets. And my chicken is just not happy today. My rooster is getting all crazy, but look at how pretty that is. So it's possible to grow beets in Florida. This was the only surviving collard green at the end of the summer last year, and I thought, you know what? I hate to pull it. So we ended up transplanting it over here in the shade because I figured it would last longer. It was one of the collard greens that we had planted in the shade, so figured we'd be safer to plant it over here. And so another heartbreak is that we had a ton of blueberries. If you go back to my last video, you'll see just blueberries everywhere. Like the best harvest we could have possibly ever had. We left for 2 days, and squirrels and birds came in and annihilated almost all of them. We do have some left that are kind of hidden in here. Thankfully, we did have an opportunity to come out with a family and harvest quite a bit, but still it was heart-wrenching to come out and go, where did all of our blueberries go? Just because of 2 days leaving our house, they came in and took over. Over here I have some mixed sugar snap and sugar daddy peas, and you can see there's little nibbles on here. The deer definitely helped themselves to these as well, but thankfully we still have flowers coming out. We've still been able to harvest. It wasn't as much of damage here. We've got another sunflower chopped off from a deer. Now these are actually kohlrabi that I harvested quite a while ago, and I just did the technique of cutting it at the bottom, and as you can see, that was where I cut, and I've got greens. I got more kohlrabi coming back. So I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to show you that because, I mean, I could easily continue to harvest these greens and eat them like collard greens. Over here, I've got some of my tomato plants that are actually started from cuttings, and I had a deer come and chop one over here. Yep, cut that one back, but look, it's already flushing to the side. We've got some nice onions going on here, and got some flowers going on here, and as you can see, I don't have as much yellowing and black spots on these tomatoes as I did the tomatoes in my Vego beds because they have that drip system. They're not getting so much water. Now in the summer when it's consistently raining, that's a whole nother story. It's very easy for plants to get sick. And look at how cool this flower is. This is an onion flower. I don't know why there we go. Look how pretty that is. Now I really don't have my onions go to seed, but for some reason this year they did. Not a whole lot, but I do have some flowers. You can actually save these seeds and replant them next year if you wanted to. But look at how beautiful that onion is. I had a friend come over last week when I offered her to pick whatever she wanted in the garden, and she helped herself to some nice, beautiful onions. She was so excited about them. And right now I've just been kind of brushing back the mulch just to see how large mine are, to see if they're ready to harvest. I mean, I could harvest this guy right now if I wanted to. I wanted to show you when is the right time to harvest your onion. This guy's not very big, but it's time to harvest him because the top has come off. It's actually beyond the time that I should have harvested this one because it looks like it's kind of split in the back and it's not really a healthy onion. I can still definitely eat that onion. And over here, this one's falling down. It's not big, very big, but it's ready to harvest. Look at how beautiful that one is. I need to show you guys a picture, if you haven't seen it, of my onions last. Some more onions. Some tops are up and some are over. And you want to get, if they're already fallen over, you want to get them out of the ground as fast as you can because they will rot in the ground in Florida with the heat the way it is. So there's a few I need to go ahead and harvest here. That kind of completes this garden over here. Got some sunflowers. Over here, my daughter wanted me to show you her garden. I've gotten her to come with me to Lowe's, and she has been getting excited about their clearance plants. So she will beg to have plants every time we go, and I've started to let her. And she's picked a few different flowers out that she is in charge of watering. So this is her little garden. She wanted to show you guys. And she's got all kinds of things she's propagating and planting. She's even started her own little butterfly garden. And guys, this just melts my heart because I just love that my girls can get out here and do this. And she is more excited about being able to feed the family with the food that she's growing. It just makes her feel really proud, and to be able to accomplish growing things. And she comes out and eats her own beans, and she's like, this is so satisfying. And it's just neat to watch your kids go through that. Also, to watch them go through the defeat of deer coming through and eating most of your bean flowers. And I told her it's gonna be okay. It's still gonna grow beans. We're just gonna have to wait a little longer. So she actually has the best beans going. And here are our beans. Where'd they go? Into a deer's belly. And it's awful because we did not even get a bean harvest this year yet. But I am hopeful that some of these leaves will start to grow back and maybe we'll get a harvest before the summer. I am starting to see some more flowers popping up and a little bit more greenery. A few beans coming back here, as you can see. So this was not fun, but come to find out, our deer feeder back here, the battery ran dead for quite some time, and I guess the deer are just used to coming back there and eating, and typically stay out of my garden, but because they weren't getting fed at our feeder, I think it's possible that they started creeping over here and feeding on our garden. This is also, on this side is a bean that we have planted out in our food plot that my husband said, hey, why don't you plant them in the garden? And I said, nah, I don't think so, because I'm worried it might attract them, that smell. And anyways, that was a mistake that I will not make again. We'll just stick with the beans we typically grow. And these are a bush bean, and these are a pole bean that I've grown before. So learn from my mistakes. And looks like a deer has eaten this sunflower as well. But as you can see, there is new growth in sunflowers. So I'm not gonna pull that. And I know that from experience because it's happened year after year. If it's not a deer, it is a squirrel that will come and eat off your sunflower heads. So here's some more sunflowers that are just beautiful. If you guys are looking for any type of seed, I do sell seeds on my website, and I do sell fruit tree cuttings. Over here, I have some kale. I've been struggling with a lot of whiteflies and aphids, so I've been spraying once a week with neem oil and BT. I got a lot of zinnias popping up from just reseeding. It's called volunteer, because we did have zinnias over here last year and they're just kind of coming up on their own. Again, here is a zinnia coming up on their own. I'm just gonna let it be. Here's some mustard greens. I'm not a big mustard green fan. Thought I'd grow it for you guys to show you, because it is a southern thing that grows well. But after eating it the other day, it's still not my favorite. I guess you could mix it in with regular collard greens, and it might be better for me, but it definitely grows a really pretty plant. If you ever have something that looks like this on your plants, you can just take it off, feed it to your chickens, and it'll help the rest of the plant grow. Now over here, we've got some carrots, and I'm gonna try to find one to harvest for you guys. And the kids like these. They have been coming through and harvesting them at all stages. Here's a little carrot. See how, I don't know why it's not focusing good. Here is a carrot I just harvested. It's not as long. Even the root, see how the root is just not as long as the other root on my Vego bed ones. We planted these way before that, and it's just because the soil isn't as rich and deep here as it is in our Vego garden. I also have blue dazzling kale here. They're turning into little kale trees. Then I also have dinosaur kale over here. I have some mixed different types of varieties of collard greens, but they have been giving off so much food. We have some onions down here that are pretty much ready to harvest. They're not as big as last year, but I'll take it. And I recently planted some squash and zucchini plants here, which are doing really good. I'm gonna try to get in here and show you one of, there we go. You guys see that? There is a zucchini. And if you ever have a hard time growing squash or zucchini, you can always hand pollinate. So the male flower will be the one with the fruit on it. The female flower will just be a regular flower with no fruit. And you can just clip that off and put the two flowers together and self-pollinate them. Ooh, look at that squash. There's some squash. So those are doing really good. Here we have some of the dwarf kale, which I much rather grow the regular kale, but this was the first year growing dwarf, any kind of curly kale. And I also had problems with ant beds through here. tons of problems. I couldn't get rid of them. And so we've tried all kinds of different things. They just really haven't done as well as I'd like. Over here, I have planted some zinnias here. This is where we had our eggplants before the freeze, which they all froze back. And over here we have some collard greens. And we have celery. That's doing really good over here. It just takes kind of forever to grow. And some sunflowers. I also created a little butterfly garden back here. And if you go back to a couple videos, you can see the seed packet I used. But it's starting to come, flowers are starting to come up. I also have some butternut squash planted back there. Ooh, I got a squash. This is so awesome. Can you guys see that little, can y'all see that butternut squash? I'm so excited. I almost want to hand pollinate it right now. I got another one coming up right here. I also planted some dahlias here. I think they're a pink color. So hopefully next video I'll be able to show you the pink flowers on those. So over here I have some regular curly kale and some of my romaine that is starting to go to seed. Yep, just started to go to seed. So I will cut these guys back and just see what happens in a few months, because I don't plan on replanting this. And look at that onion. Guys, looking good. So this is my back barn garden that is just kind of growing wild. This is actually an Everglades tomato plant. And if you're looking for Everglades tomatoes, I do sell them, but they give off these tiny little tomatoes, but they just grow crazy big and give off tons of tomatoes. And it's the one tomato that I've found will grow all the way through the hottest months in Florida and continue to produce. So if you love tomatoes and you want to have fresh tomatoes, Everglades tomatoes is the one to go with through the summer. Over here I've got some dinosaur kale. This is looking really good. I haven't had a whole lot of time to come back and harvest these. Usually I'll just harvest these and give these to our chickens back here, or let our chickens come back here and eat off of them. And then I have some really nice collard greens over here. Back here I do have some plants that I've propagated and that I sell. I do have some potatoes in here that I think are almost ready. I've decided over the years of growing potatoes that I do not want to grow them in my garden. I want to grow them in a container. They're much easier to harvest. I just dump them out instead of trying to dig through the ground and harvest them. So I want to show you. These are kind of like the smaller, tinier potatoes, and we'll probably harvest those next month.